Hello, so let's get some paint on the model. To start off with, we used Guilliman's Flesh for the skin, just making sure to get a decent coverage. I will say that it was probably a little bit darker than I anticipated it to be, and I would maybe go back and highlight again at a later stage, but it does exactly what it needs to do. It covers the skin. She appears quite tanned once she's got a good layer of this over her skin. So just being careful around the obvious parts, around the bed there, the bracelets. There's a couple of things. It doesn't matter if you get it on. If you get it on the gold parts that are going to be metallic later on, then that's not too much of an issue. But just being nice, as careful and neat as you can be. Especially we're doing the slap chop technique, so as always it's a black undercoat with a dry brush of grey, followed by an additional dry brush of white. I think if I'm going to do skin again, then I'll concentrate a little bit more white on the skin areas, just to try and get that to sort of lighten up. That might make a big difference overall. But it's something I'll play about with and see if that works. So moving on to the base, again dry brushed with the grey and the white, and what we did on this is I just did a layer of Talosar blue. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be water or cloud, but the base in the picture is pretty blue, so I've followed the same. And as you can see, though, I haven't attached the model to the base. It just makes it a lot easier to get into those details there. Just give it a good coverage, give it a good coat, let it get into all the nooks and crannies, and you'll be ready to move on to the next stage. So with the base drying, we moved on to the cloth, and for that I used a Killian Emerald, Aldari Emerald, which is a really nice rich green colour. So pop that onto the dress, just being very careful. There are a few little areas where it sort of overlaps, but this is a really nice green colour, really good coverage. And don't forget to do the back as well, because a lot of that is on show. So with these two main colours down, it's we're probably about 60% of the model covered. Again, just making sure that it runs, not to build up in too many areas. Just pull it around with the brush if need be, but always put it on reasonably thick to start with, and just layer it off as you need to. Oh, sorry, yeah, there's also some scales or something along those lines on the top piece here. I just did those in the same colour. Back to the base. This time we're doing a light dry brushing, and just to get on the tips, and for that I use Teclis Blue. So we're just mainly concentrating on the raised areas, and then moving on to the hair. For that I used Wildwood. I know in the picture she's got orange hair, but I wanted to make it look a little bit more natural, so I used a Wildwood. She has got a crown on her head, so just be careful not to cover that, though it's not the end of the world, because that is going to be metallic. But do be careful as far as getting it onto the face is concerned. I think at this point I also picked out eyebrows. Her eyebrows are quite easy to pick out, so I picked them out at the same time so that it matched the colour of her hair. Moving on to the next colour, I just did the handle of the staff, and I did that in Bile Red. Bile Red's quite a nice rich red colour. It's not the greatest of contrast paints, but then the staff was quite flat, so it worked well. You didn't really, probably could have got away with not using a contrast paint on the staff, because it's got no detail in it at all. It's just a flat piece of model. Moving on now, we're going to pick out the straps on the boots, and for that I used snakebite leather. It's probably my go-to colour now. It's a reasonably new one, I haven't had it very long, but I do like it. If anything, because the skin colour is a little dark, this doesn't stand out like it possibly should, so maybe using a darker leather colour would have been a better idea, or just going ahead and doing those layers on the skin to make it slightly lighter. That could have helped as well. But just being very careful here, because this is probably the most fiddly part of the miniature. Getting all those straps in without getting it on the skin. Moving on now, we've done the cloth, so she's got like sleeves. For that I just used Apothecary White, which is a nice sort of off-white grey type colour. Just did both the sleeves and that, nothing too complicated. You could have left them as they were if you wanted to, but just giving them this coat of paint does make them look different. I also painted the faces on the side. Hopefully you'll see them. I don't think there you go. You see where my thumb is there. You've got two little masks down there. So I painted those both in the white as well, to give them that sort of porcelain type look. Could easily have done it in metallic, but I thought it's got quite a lot of metallic on it anyway, so just to do them in the white would have made them slightly different. Moving on to the next colour now, we're just doing a dry brush on that green, and for that I used Archon Camo, which is a very, very pale green. Now we're mainly focusing just on the very raised areas and of the top of the dress, so towards the waist. We're just concentrating on the highlights just there. Now putting this on really makes a difference. You could use a slightly darker green so it's not so strong, but I like it. I like the effect that it gave, the fact that it looks like it's flowing, and it's certainly lighter at the top than it is at the bottom. And although the hair doesn't represent the box art colour, I like to think that the green here has. I did also highlight the scales ever so slightly as well at the same time. You remember the scales we did on the chest piece? I did them with the same colour. I can't remember if I actually filmed it or not, but I did do those at the same time. Okay, so moving on now to the gold, and this is going to pretty much cover the rest of the model. For that I used Brass Scorpion, which is a really nice warm brassy gold colour. I think sometimes too much gold can be a little bit too fake and a little bit over the top. So just to cool it down with a bit of brass instead of gold, I think it just makes it look a lot better. There's a lot of gold work on the model, so we've got the staff there, we've got all of the belt around the very ornate belt around the waist. There's some work. I'm doing the crown now, but there's also some work on her top that requires, I'm not sure if I've got on the bracelets, one on that side and 3 or 4 on the other. But there's also quite a lot of work on the chest plate and that shoulder pad as well. So I'll go ahead and do all the gold. Now what I didn't film is that I then give it all a wash of Agrax Earthshade. So I cut that out, but that's what I did on top of the gold. Here I'm just dry brushing the hair just to give it a little bit more texture, and I used Baneblade Brown for that. Just gives it a bit of layering. Instead of being sort of like one block colour with a little bit of shade and highlight, this just makes it all stand out a little bit more. So moving on now, I picked out a lot of the jewels. This isn't shown on the box art, but I just thought it broke everything up and added a bit more colour. For that I used Mephiston Red, just to pick out all the little circles within the trim, and just to add a bit of definition, a bit of difference to it, really make it stand out a little bit more. You can do as much or a little of this as you like, really. It's entirely up to you. So just doing the eyes now, which the eyes are pretty big, so I just put a bit of a Corex white in the centre, and then pick that out with a little bit of Adam black for the pupil. And you can see I've actually done the lips. I did them off camera. I did that with Volupus Pink, and I also painted the bird in Wildwood as well, I think it was. There she is, all made up on the Archon Studios shelf in my living room. So please like and subscribe if you found it helpful, and hopefully I shall catch you in the next one. Take care.